Deadman, Dark Mansion of Forbidden Love, Issue 2, Sarah Vaughan writing and Lan Medina on art. Which, by the way, art once again looks really good. Loving the gothic look to it. The sort of the ghost, the sort of transparency there. The sort of pastels sort of looks to the colouring. Very fitting.
And usually when there's panels with just darkness behind them, I feel ripped off. Like the artist was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna save some time and not do backgrounds." Here, it fits in so well.
Yeah, because I think what's impressive about those couple of pages is that, despite the fact that it is just them in black backgrounds, the effect that it's meant to have is actually successful. Like, it feels like they're in an empty void.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think had some of the other backgrounds, like in the regular parts of the issue, been kind of basic, that might have not come across. But they're also intricate and they're also detailed, and it's all this wonderful gothic mansion, or when Bernice is outside, and we have the small town, and like all of it looks great. All of it's so
forest
detailed.
Scenes,
yeah,
like how intricate those were. And it's only for a page.
Even when it's just like a wall, there's always just something like a pillar or just something there just to give it sense of depth and space, which obviously we don't have in this darkness.
Yeah, which makes it feel like this void. So it actually really worked. So, right. Forgive me if I get some of the names messed up here. You guys can sort of keep me right as we go if you're looking at it. But obviously, Bernice can see ghosts, and she moved into this mansion with her boyfriend. And I'm just kind of recapping the premise here. Before we go on. And Bernice has this friend in town named Sam, and they are defined as non-binary. And I think the first issue did a really good job of like handling that. Especially since, I'll be honest, before that issue, I'm not really sure I was familiar with this specific sexual orientation.
Yeah. Well, and in the first issue, they didn't mention it at all. It was just, Bernice and Sam going through the house. It was so because put a spotlight, and that was fine.
Yeah, they mentioned, like, because she corrects Deadman on the pronouns that he used.
Yeah.
And I'll apologise in advance, because before we started here, I was getting it wrong left, right, and centre. Because when you're used to referring to everyone as he or she, it's actually really difficult to say something else.
It's flexing a different muscle.
I have just a question there. You said obviously it's called non-binary. Is that a sexual orientation? Because obviously that's just how they want to be referred as. So...
I think it has to do with it.
Maybe orientation is not the right word, but it's basically
identity, maybe.
Yeah, from what
gender identity.
From what Sam said in the issue, it sounds like they. See, it's weird to say it in that context. In that sentence, it sounds really weird to not.
That sounds insulting, doesn't it? Just are they?
Yeah, because I need to stop and think about it. It sounds worse. So, if anyone listening to this is non-binary, I apologise. I really mean no offense.
Well, and it's not done out of blatant ignorance. It's based out of ignorance of we don't experience this type of stuff in our everyday life.
Yeah, I've thought.
And that's what's great with this is that it's exposing us to.
We have all been educated about this existing.
Yeah. Through a comic book, which that's phenomenal.
Yeah, because before this, obviously I'm familiar with, trans people. I'm very familiar with that. That's very normal, in terms of just how sort of present it is in everyday society. We're all aware of it, and many of us even know people like that. But I had specifically never heard of this. I don't want to be identified as one or the other. Like, and I've never heard of this before. It's interesting. So, like you say, it's actually kind of cool that it's educated us on this, that this kind of thing
in a
exists.
Gothic horror style story.
Yeah, because the rest of it's all like gothic romance and ghosts, and someone was murdered. Because
I almost feel like this is what Crimson Peak was supposed to be.
I'm sure I said that last time.
See, I wasn't here for that last time.
Oh, yeah, you were. Because I said that to Pete, and he was like, but it was
Look,
way
I'm
better.
getting excited because there was one episode that you missed that he didn't.
No, I forgot he wasn't here. I wasn't excited, but I was excited someone agreed with me.
But yeah, so as I was going through reading this issue, and you got the darkness, and you hear about what's the lady ghost's name?
Adelia, I think it was.
Adelia.
Because I thought it was Amelia from memory, and then I kept. I was like, it's Adelia. All right, Adelia. Okay.
Yeah. And you get Adelia's story, and it feels very gothic.
Yeah, because she was married and she was killed like the night after of her wedding.
Yeah,
and
the wedding.
The memories are all kind of
missing.
Yeah, are all sort of mixing together. Because Deadman, I loved it when Deadman goes into her to like see her memories. It's almost it's like he's going in for a kiss, but his entire face goes into her face, and it's
right.
It's a really great visual.
And he even mentions like it's not like entering a person, like it's almost like a mind meld type deal. So he has to open himself up as well.
Yeah,
so,
and he says how the separation feels natural as well. It doesn't feel like forcibly removed.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So, and we still have this ongoing plot where Nathan, who's a writer and he's been locked away in his study, keeps getting these headaches, and we know it's related to the ghosts. We know it's something to do with this darkness that's in the house. And we keep talking about it as a separate entity, but the actual twist at the end, the way the issue ends, is that we find out that the darkness, this dark entity that seems to be blocking Deadman from leaving, and Adelia, is actually Adelia herself. It's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde situation in ghost form, where she turns into this dark monster. She's this demon. And it's funny, actually, because it made me think of almost Japanese horror movies, like The Grudge. Because the whole idea in that movie is that the curse is born because a horrible, act of passion, a horrible, murder takes place, and it creates the curse out of her death. And this kind of reminded me of that, because at least they've not said this shit, but I'm almost wondering if that's what's happened here, is that whoever murdered her, and the reason why they murdered her, and the violent crime itself, is what created this version of her that she turns into.
I think you're right. It's very telling to do with the relationshipness of that as well, because obviously this happens as he proposes to her.
Yeah, exactly.
As he's putting the ring on her finger, even though she didn't actually say yes. We never saw that.
No.
And you kind of get the idea that she's hesitating.
Well, yeah, because Bernice has conflicted feelings, because she also knows that Sam's into her.
Yeah, we've kind of got that.
Because they get that premonition when she goes to visit Sam at the antique store. So, I guess this is the most I think I've enjoyed like a mystical DC book in quite some time, because it's not like Hellblazer where it's going all different ways and trying to be clever, because that's who Hellblazer is. It's just, this is a gothic romance horror story that happens to feature Deadman, who's a ghost.
Yeah, it's told in two halves again. So it's chapter 3 and chapter 4, and it's split down the middle, like the first issue was. The last issue started with Bernice, and that was really cool because you didn't really know why anyone was there. You didn't see the ghosts. Everything was from her perspective, and some weird things were happening. And it wasn't until the end of her half where it was full on, here's ghosts, and this is what's going on. And then the second half, we got Deadman's point of view, and it revealed a lot more of what was really, plot-wise, what the thing was about. And then this book, it started with Deadman's half, and we started in this darkness in the ghost world, where Bernice couldn't go, and then it comes back at the real world, and they form a plan. And then the second half,
4 days passed too when they were in that void.
That's true, yeah. Timey-wimey.
It also goes with Adelia's whole deal that she kind of only manifests not on her own. At least not. That's what it seems like. She just pops up. Whenever.
Her and Deadman have a connection though, because he realizes that he can't even really tell how long it's been since he died. Like, the time is kind of weird when you're dead. It doesn't pass in the same way.
I like that where he's it simultaneously feels like forever, but at the same time, I haven't been doing this that long.
And they have that great moment where she says, "Oh, when you're here, I feel like I'm alive again," and he says, "And now this is the first time I feel like I'm dead." Yeah,
there's nice dichotomy between the two of them there.
Yeah.
And like I said, though, so that's the first half. In the second half, we follow Bernice again. It switches to her perception on everything and her narration. And she leaves the house where Deadman can't go. So we go with her to the library to investigate and look up, the history of the house and Adelia and try to figure out stuff. And that's where we learn a lot of this plot about, her going missing and all the rest of it. It's also there's parts of the house that Deadman can't go into because it was built later. It's not part of the original building, which I thought was a nice touch. We go to the antique shop with Sam, and that brings they back into the story. Is it still them? It brings them back into the story. See, I have to think about it again. And it all culminates at the end when they go back to the house and Nathan proposes to her, which clearly Adelia's dark side has a problem with, because that's when it manifests. And it goes back again to the first issue, because remember, Deadman, whilst possessing, tried to make them kiss because he wanted to try and get in her head. And something kicked him back. It was like a force, but it was the darkness again, stopping it.
Yeah, it's very much against this one-sided love sort of thing, isn't it? Because obviously she doesn't feel what he does. Because it's clearly showing us that she has feelings and doubts. Whereas
Nathan's also not as much of a character on purpose, because he's always away writing his story.
Yeah.
You know, and he gets locked away, and I feel there's more to that him than just this author.
I feel there's something very specific about his study, was it? Where like they make a big deal of pausing at that room, and like, no, we can't go in there.
Yeah, that's his place. You know, even back in the city, he had his study. I didn't go in there when he's in there. I'm not allowed to talk to him. You know.
Yeah, but in this house, that room suddenly feels like a big deal rather than just a person's place.
Yeah, that's lately very true. So, no, very good. Oh, just a thought. Let's say Bernice and Sam, you know, became a thing, got married. What would Bernice refer to Sam as? You know, husband, wife. What's the neutral version of that?
Partner.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I was a thought I had when we were talking about him proposing. I was like, wait a minute, what if? Anyway, but no, that's Deadman. Very good. Looks beautiful. It's telling a great story. Very interesting. And
Educational.
And it's educational because it's taught us something, which is cool.
This is one that I got to the end that I think it says to be concluded.
Yeah.
I thought it was 4 parts for whatever reason, not 3.
That's 3.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this being collected because it's one that I'll hand to people that are interested in comics.
It's interesting that the Supergirl mini that's starting later this month is the same way.
Yeah.
It's double-sized issues every 2 months. Oh, that one does have 4 parts though, Matt. So you get 4.
Okay, so maybe that's where it came from.
You got 4 chunks of that one to look forward to. So that'll be cool to see. And I am really enjoying this book. It's probably the best sort of solo Deadman thing I've read.
Yeah. Between this and the showcase issue, or not issue, but story, it's made me want to go back and track down Deadman as a character. Just to see.
I really liked him in the Justice League Dark stuff that we had in the new 52. But obviously that wasn't so. I think we got some of the. They did have a book. What was it called? Was it like Showcase? Where they did have a little. It had like 2 or 3 stories.
It wasn't that. It was. There was an anthology book where one character would get an arc, and then it would switch to another character. So it was like a 6-issue arc of Deadman, but then it went on to someone else. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was DC Presents, maybe, or something like that.
That's it. Yeah, I think there was some Deadman stuff in there.
Yeah, there was a Deadman arc in that thing.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good, from what I recall.
Yeah, definitely. I like that DC's taken chances like this by doing, you know, every 2 months double-sized issues. You know, it makes it feel special.
Yeah, I think Prestige is the word they use.
It reminds me of the Prestige format stuff.
Yeah. That's what they said in the solicit for Supergirl anyway. Said this is the Prestige format. So.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Well, see, I was reading this digitally, so I always thought Prestige meant like no ads, and you pay a little bit more.
But digital doesn't have ads anyway, so.
Digital doesn't have ads anyway, so I didn't pick up on it. But yeah, I will definitely pick this up in not hardcover, but trade. Once it comes out.
I'd pick it up in hardcover if they do it in hardcover. I'm not sure if it will sell well enough to warrant one.
I don't know. I feel this is just because it's so artistic, they might go, "No, this is a deluxe. Here's a deluxe of."
This art would look gorgeous in a deluxe.
Yeah.
And like Matt said, it's the sort of thing that you want to hand to people who may be interested in comics but not superheroes, but you want to still give them something DC because we're DC fanboys.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's this and like American Alien because that's another whole. Because everyone knows Superman's origin, but like American Alien twisted around. So I'll have that, and then I'll have this, and they'll be set to go.